Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. I have a pimple on the top of my head right here, and it hurts. That's my intro for today. As you should know, subscribe to the channel if you are not already. Half of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. And drop a like on this video. It helps a lot. Other than that, there's a new video on my main channel about the Utah Jazz if you have not watched that already. But with that out of the way, today was a day that I was not expecting to actually make a video on this channel because the games kind of sucked. Like, I was very much contemplating not doing this one. I decided I was going to do one because of how well the Bulls played today, just so I could talk about the Bulls. But then, as I was gearing up to record this one, and I was expecting it to be a short one, the Lakers-Wizards game suddenly became real. Like, it was within like a 10-point game after they were down by up to 20 at some point. I'm not entirely sure if that's exactly what it was, but I know it was a bigger lead than 10. So I was like, okay, let me see this one play out. You know, maybe this game ends up being a win for the Wizards, which it obviously ended up being. And I went to watch the game, and my stream link was broken. And I tried for like 5 minutes, and by the time I had figured it out, the game was tied or close to tied. So I didn't really actually see the comeback, but I saw what happened subsequently after the comeback had been made. So this game was interesting. It ended up getting pretty ugly in the end. The biggest takeaway that I take from this one, on top of the fact that the Lakers are now, is it a 3-game losing streak, or is it just that they're 3-1? They might be just 3-1. I can't remember which one it is. I'm not going to bother pulling up their recent games for that, because I think it is 0-3 in the last 3, because they played the Nets, the Heat, and now the Wizards, and then they played the Timberwolves before that. So yeah, they're on a 3-game losing streak, 3-1 without Anthony Davis. This team needs Anthony Davis. I don't think that's a hot take, and I also don't think it's a knock on LeBron James whatsoever. I'm sure, I was talking about Skip Bayless on Twitter, I'm sure he's going to find a way to give LeBron a bunch of shit for this game. I mean, LeBron didn't exactly have an amazing performance. He played pretty well. I mean, to his standard, I should make clear, because for a normal NBA player, 31, 9, and 13 on relatively passable efficiency is pretty fucking bonkers. But we're talking about LeBron James here. Yeah, it's not LeBron's fault that they lost this game. It's the fault of not having another top 10 player in the league on your team. And I mean, the Lakers would still be a playoff team without Anthony Davis, but they wouldn't be a great one. And I kind of feel the same way about this team without LeBron James. It just so happens that LeBron is the one who's not hurt, because he never gets fucking hurt. Also, it's worth noting that Dennis Schroeder is not playing, and being that he's their third scorer, I do think there's a good chance that if he was in this game, the result is different. But the Lakers, they need Anthony Davis. That's my takeaway for them. My takeaway for the Wizards, while I don't think there's any direct thing to point to for why the Wizards have been better this year, it really just seems like they have energy. Like, earlier on this year, they had the energy, but like they were simply not winning games. And as the year was going on, you could tell the morale was dissipating. I don't know what that was. The morale was going away quickly. We saw Bradley Beal on the bench, like, basically in fucking tears about how he just cannot win a goddamn basketball game. That energy has come back. And even though, you know, you look at the X's and O's stuff or the basketball stuff, there's not some incredibly clear, like, oh, this is the flip that switched. It's just they're playing with more passion. I know it sounds like fucking generic or cliche to talk about that, like they're playing with more heart, but they just simply are. The fact that they got back in this game to begin with, the way they closed this one out, anytime LeBron did something ridiculous, which he did a couple of times because he's LeBron, they weren't intimidated. They came back down and they scored again. Bradley Beal scored 2 buckets in a row after LeBron had just got a ridiculous and one. I think I believe it was David. No, it was on Rui Hachimura. I don't know. But he, you know, that's a point where, you know, the Lakers are starting to get right back into this one after the Wizards had taken like a 4-point lead, and Beal was like, nah, I'm calm, cool, collected. I'm just going to come back down and get a bucket once more. This game very nearly went into overtime, which I'm glad. Wait, did it go into overtime? Am I stupid? Yeah, it did go into overtime, right? It almost went into a double overtime, which I'm glad it didn't, because I want to go to bed once this video goes up. But LeBron, he took a shot to close the overtime. Oh my God, is my memory this shit that I don't even remember? No, Bradley Beal. LeBron got a drive, missed the free throw, and then Bradley Beal took a step back three that did not go in. And I honestly thought they could have got a better shot out of that. Then overtime comes around, and this overtime, the way this game ended was very interesting because it basically ended in the Wizards were up a little bit, and then there was an inbound play. Russell Westbrook got an and one layup with no shot clock off of the inbound play, and then he missed the free throw, as he had missed a free throw earlier in the fourth quarter, which is the reason why he went into overtime. After LeBron had missed a free throw to give them the lead, which is why the game went into overtime. Just a lot of missed free throws in this game. There was one play in particular that bothered me, but I'm not going to harp on it too much. There was a play where Russell Westbrook shoved Alex Caruso, and it was rightfully called an offensive foul. Within literally the next possession, LeBron James did the exact same thing to Davis Bertans, and no call whatsoever. Now, Lakers fans were complaining about the calls in this game overall. When I said that, I only watched like a quarter and a half, so don't yell at me. I just know that was stupid. I don't know about the rest of it. Yeah, I did watch the first half of this game, kind of. It was just on in the background while I was watching Jazz versus Hornets because the Jazz destroyed the Hornets. But yeah, they destroyed them in the fourth quarter. But my mind was not too focused on it, and because it was a blowout, I was like, I'm not going to watch this. But then halfway through the third, they made it a real game. Anyways, let's talk about the rest of the games for today. That one was the only really good game of the day. Let me talk about the Bulls real quick because I don't know if you knew this. The Bulls are currently sitting in the 8th seed. They are nearly 500. With Wendell Carter back, they are 4-1. And they nearly beat the Sixers despite Joel Embiid putting up 50 and Zach LaVine having one of his worst, maybe his worst game of the season. So put that into context. The Bulls almost went on a 5-0 run, beating the best team in the East in the process. Ironically, the process, whatever. Yeah, that's definitely nice to see. Overall, the Bulls have a winning record when Wendell is there, and they're like 4-7 without him. So Wendell Carter, shout out to that guy. Zach LaVine, this game was more calm one. Like you'd think the Bulls have a blowout win. Oh, I bet you Zach LaVine dropped 40. No, he dropped 21. Although 14 of those points did come in the third quarter. Like he was just being passive as hell all game, and then he was like, "Yeah, let me turn it on real quick," and then that's when the game blew just wide open. A good game from Kobe White. He was rebounding well. He shot 10 for 16. Very good game for Kobe White. Like I said before, I'm going to give credit where it's due. Kobe White played good in this game. I still don't care for him. And he's been a lot better since most of my complaints have come out. But still, my feelings about Kobe White didn't really change. I was just more frustrated about them a couple games ago. You know what I mean? Like, I still believe Kobe has the ceiling that I believed he had months ago. But I was done being nice about feeling that way. Thaddeus Young, 17, 8-5 off of the bench, 8 for 9 shooting. This guy, if there's a second place for Sixth Man of the Year right now, it goes to Thaddeus Young. I don't care what you tell me. There was some stat that was like he's like 5th in the league in assists off of the bench this year, and he's the only non-guard in that category. He's averaging 5 assists per game in the month of February. Stacey King has started calling him Thagic Johnson, which is just fantastic. What's not fantastic is Patrick Williams is being called the Paw, which is supposed to be like a play on the Claw from Kawhi because people compare Patrick to Kawhi. But first, I don't like putting that pressure on Patrick to compare him to Kawhi. I think the sky is a limit with Patrick, but I also think it's a very real possibility he just ends up being a high-value role player. But also, the Paw is a stupid nickname, so stop that. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. Very, very good game all around for the Bulls. They dropped 46 points in the third quarter, which is the best they've had in the last 2 years. Also, the Rockets without Christian Wood are fucking doo-doo. I watched a bit of Mavericks versus Grizzlies, but I didn't watch too much because by halftime, the Mavericks were like up 20 or so. I think the Grizzlies put up like 34 points in the first half. It was not pretty. Yeah, that was a game that I kind of watched, so I don't have much to say about that one. The Grizzlies though have been heads above water for the most part, despite a lot of injuries this year. So I do want to give that credit to them. And then finally is the game that I mentioned earlier, the Hornets versus the Jazz. The Jazz, I believe they hit 27 threes in total in this one. Am I in 28 threes? Is that I didn't confirm. I'm pretty sure that's not an NBA record, but I'm also not that confident that it is. Georges Niang, who ironically is the only rotation player that I did not mention in my Jazz video, leg switch. He's a guy who's been a stretch four earlier on in his career. He was not. He's the only Jazz player who's been struggling to shoot the ball. This game, he couldn't fucking miss. 7 for 7 from 3. Literally could not miss. So shout out to Niang. And being that he played 15 minutes and he made 7 threes, that's fucking nuts. The Hornets actually had this as a really close game and are even leading in a good couple of points here. Also, Gordon Hayward injury on his hand. I hope that's good. I haven't seen any reports about like what that actually is, but he was out with a broken hand or something like that for a while. So hopefully that's all good. LaMelo had a pretty solid game, not the best he's had, but efficiency wise could have been better. But he had a really rough game the last Hornets game that I watched, so it's nice to see him bounce back from that. That was the game Terry Rozier hit the game winner, and I just didn't acknowledge it at all in the video. Yeah, that was my bad. Terry Rozier had a rough game, but it was the fourth quarter of this game where I believe I'm going to look up just to confirm the numbers. I'm pretty sure the Hornets scored like almost no points in this fourth quarter. I just want to make sure that's clear. So they started the quarter, it was 90-91. So they scored 19, but they gave up fucking 41. So it was more the defense than the offense, but also the threes. I can't even be too mad at the offense because the threes were just dropping. Like I looked down for a minute. I was like, holy shit, the Jazz are up by like 9 more points. They just hit 3 threes in a row. Very good shooting game overall. They shot 51% from 3 after putting up 55 3-pointers. Man, that's some bonker shit. This Jazz team might be in contention for the greatest shooting team of all time. Like, I mean, you want to give it to a Stephen Clay team, logically, but I mean, the overall shooting of this team, insane. They're definitely in that category at the very least, in the top 5 best shooting teams ever. Although I guess you might put an asterisk next to it because there are no fans in the arena. That's a whole conversation. But yeah, Jazz, after the Hornets gave them a game for 3 quarters, they were like, all right, we're done screwing around in the fourth. So saw how that one went. But yeah, Bulls in the playoffs right now. Zach LaVine's happy. Lakers need Anthony Davis. I think that's all I got to say. I'm glad that the Wizards actually made this post-game reaction actually interesting because it was about to be fucking boring as hell. So shout out to the Washington Wizards. Also, I didn't even really talk about the positive of the Wizards. Fuck. I'm sorry, Wizards fans. 5-0, right? Yeah, I think 5-0 out of the last 5. If I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they were 4-0 before that. So yeah, in my last video was about how the Wizards were figuring it out, or second to last video, and in that one I said, yeah, they're not going to win this Lakers game, but hey, they did. So yeah, Wizards are looking good. Like I said, I did mention them earlier. Their energy's back. Yeah, whatever. All right. I don't know what the fuck this channel is. You get it. Bye.